remember when Joy Reid said this?
ICE agents that have been surged into Minnesota because, of course, Trump is whipping up this fear of Somalis, running rampant over their welfare system. They're like, we're going to deport as many as we can get our hands on, as well as obviously as many brown people as they can get their hands on. This woman was part of a group of people who they trained to try to be ICE interrupters. Mm-hmm. And what they try to do is observe what ICE is doing, film them, and try to use their white privilege, to be honest. They're mainly white people.
Which is what we ask.
Which is what we ask them to do, right? Because black people, like, we can't put our bodies on the line because cops will shoot us. And so the presumption had been, particularly a white woman, because remember, part of the rationale for doing this with ICE is to save white women, pristine white women, from being ravaged by, criminal brown men. So white women, have been taking the lead in being the ones to step forward and challenge ICE and to say, as white people, we can step to ICE and step to police in a different way. In this case, this white woman and her wife, who's also a white woman, were driving in an SUV. They parked to try to block ICE from snatching people out of a suburban neighborhood. This was not like on the mean streets in Minneapolis. This was in a suburb.
Yeah,
with,
the neighbor was a doctor.
The neighbor's a doctor. This is a quiet white suburb. So they're driving and they park. The ICE agents come up to the car. They get out of the car and to shorten it, they bang on her door and tell her, get out of the car. They order her to get out of the car. She panics and starts to back up to get away. And one of the ICE officers, Jonathan Ross, shot 3 times into the car, shot her in the face and killed her. The reason I think this is significant and is different from the previous shootings is, to me, this is a George Floyd moment.
Mm-hmm. And not far from
where that happened, right? 6 years later. And the reason I think it's a George Floyd moment is that George Floyd answered the question, are black people making it up when we say cops can just kill us and will, right? We saw a police officer with people filming him was willing to kill George Floyd in front of a crowd on camera. In this case, I think it's a George Floyd moment because this is one of those moments when somebody who's supposed to be safe with law enforcement, a white woman, a Christian, a mom, she had just dropped her kid off, her 6-year-old off at school, who's doing all the right things. She is a citizen. This is not a question of her being an undocumented immigrant.
It didn't feel like ICE agents were in danger of their lives in any way. They could easily have moved out of the way.
Easily, and did move out of the way. And walked away, no injuries. The chief of police in Minneapolis said no one was injured except the woman who was dead. None of those men were injured. And it was that moment where you realize nobody's safe.
You remember how dumb that was? Because it was only a few days after a woman was shot by ICE agents for doing the exact thing Joy Reid said these white people are doing and being trained to do. You know how counterproductive that is? If you sit there and say, hey, you should do it, white people, because the black people can't do it because they end up dead, and then the white people end up getting shot for doing the things that you're training them or you're advocating that they get trained to do. See how dumb that is? Now, listen to this.
If you are sick and tired of your government being ransacked by Donald Trump and his minions, literally taking away healthcare from your neighbors, stealing food off of the table from seniors and children, and generally being uncool with the fact that our neighbors are being disappeared, P.S. without due process, it is just called kidnapping, then show up and use your voice, put your body on the line, and use non-violent direct action, which is one of the most important tools in our toolbox to say, I am not okay. I will not go silently into the night. I will join arms with my friends, with my neighbors, and with people who generally believe that folks should be able to afford their lives, should be treated with dignity and as human beings. Then we need to see you there.
On top of hearing that, and then recognizing what just happened over the weekend to the guy who confronted the ICE agents or the Border Patrol agents, don't you see how counterproductive it is to tell people to put their bodies on the line? Certainly saying doing it in a non-violent manner, but when you're telling people put their bodies on the line, and then you see clips going viral of people putting their bodies on the line, confronting these people, and then ending up dead, you see how it really don't make a lick of sense to tell people to do such a thing, because they may end up fucking dead, forgotten, and being used as political puff pieces to say, you should should be very upset about what's going on, while continuing to do nothing but spin the wheel. You would think in somebody's mind it would start to click that there needs to be a different idea, a better idea. That way the point gets across and no one's dead. And fuck it, throw in a third option. No one ends up on the ground, arrested and in handcuffs. Spitting on them don't work. Confronting them and pushing them back don't work. Even being out there and blocking them with your car doesn't work. Seemingly ends up with people dead or arrested and often forgotten to the mystical minds of people who want to advocate for other people to do something, but they don't do it because they're too chicken shit. By the way, listen to this.
You all need to be arming yourselves right now. You all need to learn how to shoot guns. You all need to learn how to protect yourselves. You guys need to learn what to do in a situation where you get detained and how to help your friends when they are getting detained. You all need to become aware of what's happening right now and how there is no protesting this without some sort of militant action.
See, I've been fully activated. I'm gonna head back east. We need to go to DC. Shit needs to get done. Here's the thing that I need for protesters and everyone to start realizing, okay? We're at war. The protests are over. There's no more protesting. This is combat now. So when I come onto the field, I'm not screaming at people that are going to assault me or pepper spray me. Like, no, this is combat. I'm going to engage them in combat because we have shit that needs to be done. This is how we get shit done. Okay? We're not protesting anymore. We're fighting. You understand? Like, I need for you to stop with the signs. And I need for you to get shields and swords of the pew-pew kind. Like, I need for you to wake the fuck up. We're at war. It's wartime. It's time to go to war. You know how your military father or your military friends were always telling you freedom isn't free? Like, you're about to find out. Like, you're about to get it. So figure it fucking out. Stop protesting. It's fight time. Okay?
I understand there's discomfort and discontent with what's going on. I understand a lot of people are upset. A lot of people are angry. A lot of people are annoyed at what's going on. But oh my, could there be a different idea for you to come up with? I'm not saying you can't be mad. I'm saying you've seen the success rate and how it's not really working out over recent times. So wouldn't it be a perfect time to start considering doing something else? Your makeshift Black Panther Party that was being led by a fucking light skin fell apart within 2 fucking days. So that idea is not gonna fucking stick. Can there be something that leads people to end up getting their point across and not ending up dying? At this point, some people gotta admit that I'm right, that there's a performative nature to what is going on. The need to try to seem like you're doing the right thing by speaking out and being very angry about it, yet doing nothing to the grand scheme. And then when you tell people to do something, but you're too chicken shit to actually do it, you sit back and think to yourself, I've done a great job telling people to do something I know that I wouldn't do. And on the rare occasion, someone does something even slightly close as to what's been advocated for, how is it that they've ended up dead? They've protested, they've blocked the roads, they've tried to intervene when they see ICE doing something they deem is unfair, and they've both ended up dead. And what has been the response? Somebody's got to do something. Somebody's got to try something. You tell a motherfucker to wait for the midterms. You got people sitting around saying, oh, that's not enough. You got people who will sit there and say, you are sitting back and you're resting and you should be ashamed of yourself because people are dying while you're sitting there resting. You got people who will say, all right, voice your frustration. You got dumb motherfuckers saying they want to see motherfuckers take their own lives. At what point are people willing to admit that some of this shit is counterproductive? All I've done is document it and say, hey, this don't work. And somehow that has put me in the ire of a bunch of motherfuckers who would rather perform and be praised for their performance than get called out for doing nothing in return while they go sit and go to parties and bitch that other people aren't doing what you tell them to do. At some point, there has to be this grand grand conversation, and I'm willing to be a part of it. I'm willing to sit at the table and negotiate any type of terms, because the more people sit there and say, oh, you're trained to put your body on the line, go put your body on the line, you go out there and do something that's gonna put you in jail, and all the while the motherfuckers saying that are sitting comfortably, idly by, not really doing too much shit, not being anywhere near ICE's presence, or for the second time of me mentioning it in this video, being someone trying to create the renaissance of the Black Panther Party, yet you look like you don't even know how to fucking use the gun you carrying, and you done got called out by everybody under the sun because you not a Black Panther, you a bitch performing like you gonna be somebody's hero, all the while you're nowhere near where ICE is present. It gets to a point where the performative nature is just fucking embarrassing, and the more it goes on, the more your conservative opposition is just ready to say, well, these domestic terrorists, they're all just galvanizing troops and they're leading people to be arrested and killed. It's all the more reason for us to be in these areas and do what we have to do, because they're trying to stop us from doing this, and they're counterproductive, and they belong in jail for what they've done. Or when they end up dead, it's a circumstance of them being agitators and domestic terrorists. Congratulations, your plan doesn't fucking work. And you could sit there and use your benign fucking insult of grifter and bootlicker, and my response will be simple: the fuck are you doing different to create any amount of change? What are you doing that's going to lead to somebody not being dead? How are you going to counter what is an immovable fucking object with your irresistible, annoying fucking stances about how other people should be shooting ICE agents? Because quite frankly, if I look around, that ain't fucking working.